The activities of the Wagner illegal militia, this mercenary group who started the activities in the Donetsk region and really lie behind a lot of the upscaling of the Ukrainian war, the Russian attack on Ukraine, and also are involved in illegal military activity across Africa, in Syria, and so on. This organization is run by, or self-confessed now, run by a man called Prigozhin, who is Putin's chef. He runs a catering company in St. Petersburg. He was formerly imprisoned as a thief. He's the person who's been going around prisons telling prisoners that they can join his brigade, recruiting prisoners to act potentially as cannon fodder in Ukraine. And now we understand he's going to have two militia training centers in Kursk and Belgorod, the two regions very close to the Ukraine borders. And, it's these people are being trained there. They will be local residents or local prisoners. There is already one quite big training camp just outside or on the outskirts of Rostov-on-Don. That's the town that, if you remember, Liz Truss didn't know that was in Russia, very much in Russia. And these people will know Ukraine because they will know the territory like no one else, because they will be from the neighboring area. And this man is a very strange man. He claimed a short while ago that he was indeed in charge of the Wagner Brigade, and now in fact he's just claimed that he was personally involved in interfering in the US elections, in the sort of cyber attacks, which we've suspected for a long time were masterminded in St. Petersburg. That's his area. So is he the person in charge of the huge propaganda campaign, the campaign that says that any attack by Ukraine is a terrorist attack, that Ukraine is a threat to Russia, that Ukrainian land, these four territories, are now Russian territories because of the rigged referendum? Is he the person who has spearheaded so much of this propaganda? And a lot of Western media is obsessed with the thought that the propaganda is for us. It isn't. It's for a domestic audience which is fed daily on this diet of demented nonsense. And it is not just the terrorism, it's the civilian attacks on Ukraine are explained, the retreats are explained. I don't know how the Russian propaganda at the moment is really managing the retreat from Kherson, but it will. The murder and torture of Ukrainian prisoners of war, the absolute failure of any form of Russian response, of Russian discipline to those soldiers who have been fingered and caught maligning and maltreating Ukrainian prisoners of war. This constant barrage of the trope that Ukraine is a Nazi regime. There's nothing Nazi about the Ukrainian regime. It's run by a Jewish man, Zelensky. It couldn't be further from the truth. There are right-wing Nazi groups in almost every country in the world. And so, of course, there were some in Ukraine. They lost power. They lost political power in the last election completely. And if there's any sort of fascism, it's the demonic, obsessive control manufactured by the Kremlin. The focus on the UK as their major adversary. Why? Is it because the Kremlin sees the UK as the poodle of America, the threat of nuclear war, the thought that we're all going to capitulate because Russia rattles its nuclear weapons, like some ladies rattle their jewellery, the threat to our fuel supply across Europe? All of this is part of propaganda, and all of this is really designed for the local domestic audience, and to demonstrate to that domestic audience that Putin's regime is in control. The domestic audience, we are told again and again and again, appreciates power and appreciates the concept of control. Does Putin have that? Well, it's getting weaker and weaker by the instant, and support for the operation in Ukraine is waning across Russia.